Hello and welcome to TCN's webinar series. Today we're going to be discussing a webinar training and specifically on how to use and navigate TCN's business intelligence. Don't see any other questions, so we once again appreciate, we really appreciate you as our clients. I think we've got just an amazing client base, and I love every day that I get to have a chance to meet with you all and really discover what you're working with and the challenges that you have and see how we can address those challenges with business intelligence. So thank you so much for your time today, and please contact me directly if you have any questions, or our business intelligence team. You can do so by just reaching out to your account manager, and they'll coordinate a meeting for us, or you can contact me directly here. Here's my email, my phone number, and we'd love to meet with you. My name is Dave Beathers. I'm the Vice President of Business Intelligence here at TCN. A little bit of background on me. I'll be presenting today's training. I've been with TCN for over 10 years now, served in various roles here at TCN, and have a little bit of history and background in organization, in sales, and also in psychology and instructional technology as well. Very happy to be with you. This webinar today is just a little bit different. Normally we like to have webinars that are also geared for sales and marketing, but this webinar is a little bit different. Specifically, it's geared for you, the TCN client, to help you understand what you have at your fingertips with business intelligence, what you have that's turned on your account, and how to access it, use it, and gain the most value out of it, even starting today. So as agenda items and a little bit of housekeeping, here's what we're going to be reviewing. We'll start off first by how to access business intelligence, and then we'll get into just navigation, specifically with the default dashboard overview. How to use it, what is it saying to me, and what does it mean if I want to access it or modify it, how do I go about doing that? So as you can see here, we're going to be sticking to the basics. We do have so much more that we could get into, but we thought we'd spend today's time with just a simple overview and into the functionality of the default view and how to navigate it. We'll probably follow that up with just an overview or a discussion about what is the value of BI, and finally we'll have a Q&A or a question and an answer about anything that we've covered today. Specific to questions that you have, we will be taking any of your questions at the end of today's webinar, but I'd like you to actually use the the GoToMeeting interface for asking your questions. So please, at any time of the display or any time of the webinar today, please submit your questions there, and we'll go ahead and review as many as we can. Any that we don't cover, we'll try to answer you directly. Also, you can send an email to tcn@tcnp3.com as well, where we can answer those questions, hopefully in a one-on-one with you as well. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to show you is how to access business intelligence. When you log in to your managerial site on TCN, you probably noticed that we have a bright, beautiful, and bold button here at the top called Analytics Dashboard. The moment that you click on this dashboard, you're going to be brought into a pop-up. Well, hopefully that pop-up comes up for you, but make sure there have been many clients that have had a pop-up blocked. So you're going to have to allow for it and allow that pop-up to show up, and then go ahead and click on the button one more time. If you're still having trouble accessing business intelligence at that point, please call in. We're more than happy to walk you through that step and to give you an individual tour of how to use it and what it's doing for you. So once you have your new pop-up, go ahead and maximize that so you can see it very well. By default, we've chosen to give you a dashboard that we feel is going to give you immediate insight and immediate visibility and immediate value to what you're doing. We've chosen to use a dashboard that has various insights, and as you can see here, insights are either individual charts or tables or graphs that can be displayed. They can also be rearranged. As you can see here, they can be resized and put into several different configurations. The good part is that every time you log in or click on Business Intelligence, this will be the default view. And we'll get into the specifics of why we've done that, but and also what the various insights do in just a moment. But as far as simple navigation goes, to orient you, you have a tab view at the top left of your screen. This is just to decide if you want to look at this particular dashboard or if you want to look at a specific insight. So just by looking up here at the top of your screen, you can tell if you're in an insight or if you're in a particular dashboard. Now, the dashboards that are set up have various options as well. You can, over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you can tell there are some different settings here. We've got a live view setting. This just means that there's some data that we try and present to you as soon as possible. As soon as it's, in fact, as soon as the calls are complete or as soon as the agent sessions are complete, we also want to give you information prior to that as well. So as soon as we have the information to show you by clicking on the live view, that will give you that information. Again, by default, that is enabled, so that's a nice setting for you. Also at the top of your screen here, this is an auto refresh option. What that means is that if you choose to use an insight or a dashboard as a leaderboard or something for your managers to watch, or if you want to put this up on a screen on your call center floor, you can have this auto refresh, and it'll refresh pretty quickly. You can see here you have an option of all the way down to every 5 seconds, and you'll see this, that every 5 seconds this will refresh and give you the most current information, the most current data available. By default, this is turned off, but it's very simple to enable or turn off or to modify, as you can see here. Also right here, this gives you a time clock. It's very helpful to know the data range that your insights or your dashboard are being considered. So this says that by default, we're going to look back over the past 30 days. And so any of the insights that are on this particular dashboard will include the past 30 days. And then from there, you can actually refine an insight to be a particular date range even further from that. But this time frame applies for the whole dashboard. That can be modified. You can have a today view, you can have a this month view, this year view. So a lot of these quick views are very helpful. You can see that we've got the last hour view, the last 2-hour views, or you can get very specific with an absolute and choose a particular day in your history or a date range. So very similar to TCN, the platform. By default, it's at the last 30 days. Up here as well, you can choose your time zone. So those things are very standard, very simple. The next menu option that you have here across this bar is right here. We've got a filter option. I will talk about that in a moment. But we have options for creating new dashboards where you can personalize your own dashboard to your own needs. So if you like what we have here, but you want to make some modifications to it, you're more than welcome to click on a new dashboard, or in fact, this option, which allows you to save the dashboard. You can make modifications to this dashboard, in fact, by changing it around or adding new insights, which this button does, which can allow you to add an insight that you've either created or that we already have in the system here. but you'll notice there's a little warning that says, in order to save, the title may not begin with TCN Standard. That's a very quick modification just by deleting Standard and naming it to your desired name there. So a few options there. Across the top, we have Save Dashboard. We have Load Save Dashboard. So once you have your own standard dashboards, which we give you 5 standard dashboards that we feel are a good starting point and should cover, we hope, about 70 to 80% of your needs just out of the get-go without any configuration. We also know there's a lot more value to the system, but we'll show you how to modify and manipulate some of the dashboards and some of the insights in just a moment. But there are 5 standard versions of the dashboard that you can choose from, and to navigate from one to the next, you simply click on the folder icon and come to your particular dashboard that you want to take a look at and click on it. Grab my particular dashboard. We'll go with the agent view, and I can toggle as I want to. I can go between pre-configured dashboards or dashboards that I've saved in the past. So very quick to jump. Your agents or your team members may have their own views. This is where you'd access those, and of course we'd adopt some kind of naming convention that would allow you to quickly choose your view. So simple to get into, simple to access. Now I'm going to give you a walkthrough of what this default dashboard shows and why I feel like it's going to give you a value immediately, even starting today. If you go ahead and pull up your particular dashboard, your default dashboard, there's various insights on this page. This first insight demonstrates well, it's just simply a bar chart. You've got bar charts, you've got column charts, you've got different ways of viewing the data that you'd like to look at. Also, you can refine this and take a look and only look at the data that you want to see. So if you want to take a deeper look at just the linked calls that have conversations greater than 20 seconds, then I can do so. If I want to add in just the abandoned calls, I can do that. So a lot of different ways to do it. You can also zoom in on most of these insights to a particular data set that you want to look at. If there's a particular group of agents, you want to focus in on those agents, you can do so. You'll see here that there's a reset zoom to take you back to the original. Another way to look at this too is while you're on the dashboard, if there's a particular insight that you want to take a deeper look at, you can click on these views here. This first view is similar to the time period up here. You'll notice this one says last 30 days. Here it says today. So in the last 30 days, we've filtered or narrowed the date range for this particular insight to be just today. So this is a live view of your agents. These are agent codes. You could have agent names or whatever your account shows. But if I would rather change that and say, you know what, I'd just rather look at maybe this day last week. So all I need to do is select that and choose this refresh button right here. That will now give me an updated view for this day of last week. So just a couple of ways to navigate. Also, I can zoom in to a particular insight just by clicking on the edit button, and that will take me to that particular insight, and you'll notice I also have access to the formulas. So the formulas there's a lot of capability there that we're actually going to save for another training webinar or for a one-on-one with you. But just know that there is a help guide. It's limited in nature, just because this is a very, I don't want to overwhelm you, but there's a lot that it can do. You can get in and access quite a bit of information. But for today's purposes, we're just going to stick to some of the default views and the default navigation, just so that you can, again, see that without configuration, you can come in and have value and gain very good insights that will affect your call center and your calling, well, your success, really. So let's talk about some of the individual insights and what it's showing. We actually have, we've put a lot of thought into this because it initially, we've been working on this, by the way, for the past year and a half, but initially, when we had these tools available, we started building report after report and insight after insight. And the idea was, wow, that's really interesting. Did you know this, or did you know that? And so we were learning quite a bit about our clients and about their patterns and behaviors and different things that we could see. But at one point, we just stopped everything and said, hey, you know, while this is interesting, and that was the word that kept arising, we wanted it to be impactful or actionable. What information could we show that would give actionable information to the people that are looking at it? And so by doing that, two things quickly appeared. One thing was we needed to look at comparative information. And so down here on this particular dashboard, I've got a great example of this. And this is just the same insight. This is a column insight showing certain metrics that are interesting or important as well. So if you want to look at your time periods throughout a given day and see how many calls you're sending that are outbound, how many calls are inbound, how many are manual, and also an indicator of agent production, so how many calls are each agent fielding per hour, then you can see that. But you'll notice down here, this is the exact same insight. The only difference is that it's comparing the time period of last week. So this is just an idea and a concept of how I can see today's performance and how it compares to last week's performance. Same metrics, same details, but clearly I can see that there are some differences. So for example, last week, the time periods are here as well. And if I want to zoom in on those, I can. But let's just do this, for example. You can see that having a comparison can really make a difference for a floor manager to be able to say, are we on track or are we off track? So this one's just a quick overview of how to see that as far as your call volume goes. You've got a scale on the side so you can have comparative data and quickly look at that real time. As we walk around, you're going to see very similar concepts that appear as well. I think this one is actually my most favorite insight, so I'm going to save that for last. But just on one dashboard, you're able to see information on campaigns and on call volume, but also agents. So this is an agent report. This is grouped by agent. And this is showing a concept that we call manage by exceptions. How many of your call center agents and or your floor managers, your dialer managers, don't want to be stuck to a dashboard all day long? And nor would you want them to be. You really want your managers to go and manage people. And so this concept of managing the exception is one that simply says, we're going to put information up here, and we're going to limit that information to only information that is going to make a difference for your call floor or for your manager. For example, the metric that we're looking at here, which could be any metric, by the way, is one that says, show me conversations, or basically show me calls, the amount of phone calls that somebody has taken where the talk time is greater than 20 seconds. So this is by agent, but you'll notice here I have a bar that says 22.2. So this is the group average for the entire group. Well, I'm not showing the entire group. I'm only showing those agents that are below average. So instead of showing 50 or 100 agents, we have the capability of just showing those agents that are problematic or that are not performing. There's great ways where we can reduce this or modify this and show other information. I'll just show you how I can reveal this to show all the agents. So here's the example of ruling by the exception or managing by the exception. Instead of seeing all the agents, which it actually makes sense and it's very visual, so it's easy to see, but whether it's a chart or a graph, I can reduce that to just the version of agents that I want to deal with. So we feel that that's a great time saver. We've got a lot of good feedback so far that this is really saving managerial time. No longer do they have to hunt for the data that they're looking for, but we can really reduce it to data that's actionable. Down here, this insight is very similar. It's looking at agent wrap time. So if agents are spending more time in wrap-up or post-call production time than the average, they're going to be displayed here. So very simple, straightforward. You can see, well, these guys are right up at that average. They're just a little bit off, but down here, this is who we really should work with. And in fact, bringing those agents back to particular view as a manager and saying, do you see a problem here? This is where you are, and this is where the rest of the team is. So very, very useful in aiding your efforts to quickly correct the behavior that needs to be changed. Down here, this is just a demonstration. There's a couple of statistics here that are quite useful. This is focusing in on contacts. So the green is showing conversations that are 20 seconds or higher per production hour. So by agent, how many conversations are they having per production hour that are greater than 20 seconds? So green, that would be an indicator of success. We would, without modifying this or personalizing this, you can have a great indicator here of successful talk-offs or conversations. The black is just less than 20 seconds. So you get an idea of the short duration calls, whether that's a wrong party or some other connect that's not necessarily successful. So once again, that's a today view on that particular agent. Over here on the top, this is just a quick statistic overview. So you can see quickly, it's a little bigger, your average agent wait time, outbound abandonment rate, your outbound conversations. So outbound calls that result in a conversation greater than 20 seconds. So a nice little tally there. Here is your inbound abandon. That's a very, very important statistic. If you're not tracking inbound with TCN and TCN's inbound numbers, you're going to be missing out on a lot of detailed information on your call center where you can really track individual agent performance and track successful calls. And we've found that, as you can imagine, many, many successful calls in debt collection come on the inbound side. So being able to track your inbound abandonment rate and your inbound productivity is huge. Again, here is a tally of those conversations that are greater than 20 seconds and a tally of the inbound abandonment. So this company's they're doing okay. They're very aggressive. They've got a lot of agents, so this is in their range of normality. But once again, we could reduce this, we could personalize this and have indicators and flags that only appear if there's a problem, that only appear if they exceed maybe 3% abandons. So instead of hunting for the data, they'll be able to see indicators. This table I've saved for this part of the presentation because I think it's probably about one of the greatest things on this dashboard. As you can see here, this is only showing Thursday, June 9th. That's today. Here it's showing Thursday, June 2nd, May 26th, May 19th, and May 12th. So these, once again, we're managing the exception. The dial manager may not want to look at other Thursdays, excuse me, other Fridays or other Mondays or other Tuesdays, those may be completely different shifts. And so the information from a daily total may not make sense and may not be of value to them to compare. The other thing that you're going to, so for that reason, we're looking at the current day. Right here I have a filter where I can filter this information on this dashboard down to anything. And you're going to notice that it says right here two things. Days of the week to include the current day. So by default, all of this data is going to show today, which is Thursday. Also, by default, any historical data is only going to be previous Thursdays or previous current days, whatever that day is today, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. As you come in, this will automatically adjust. We've tried to reduce the amount of times that your agents or that your floor managers need to click to find the information that you want them to focus on. Additionally, you'll see that there's a time filter. This could be the last hour, the last 2 hours, the last 4 hours, and so forth, but by default, it's selected start of day till now. And we tried to be descriptive on the titles, but this one shows, as you can see, this one shows, and I'm going to go into it a little bit further, midnight until now for that particular day. So with that particular filter, if I drill into it like I just did, this is going to show me the last 30 days, and this is going to be a daily total. So for the entire Tuesday, June 7th, here are my daily totals for these particular metrics. That's an entire day. But if I'm actually just on that default dashboard, and let me clean that up a little bit. So that's the good part of the default dashboard. I can just go right back to it. If I'm on that default dashboard, it's going to show me the current day, but it's also going to look historically and say, you know what, it's 12:26 Mountain Time. So on June 9th, it's 12:26 Mountain Time. So on May 26th and June 2nd and May 19th and May 12th, these are all from midnight until 12:26. So no matter what time I look at it, I can have a running total to be able to look back and say, how did we do it this time last week or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? So once again, we feel, and the feedback we're getting from our clients is that this is data that they've never had before. Most floor managers will be able to tell you and say, well, by noon or by our first shift, we should have this many call attempts, or we should have this many right parties or this many conversations. But if you were to ask them at 9 o'clock or 9:30 or 9:35, that estimate might not be off, or they've got a gut reaction or a gut feeling, but now you can be conclusive and look historically for that type of data to be able to see, is there a challenge, is there a problem, are we actually doing better than we've done in the past? And so just to highlight this, if we look at conversations that are greater than 20 seconds per agent production hour, this particular company is a little off. Normally they're in the 20s, and they'd hope to have, just from their history on this day, they'd hope to have in the mid-20s, the low 20s for conversations per agent hour. Right now they're a little under that, so they may want to look around and see other indicators that are indicative of some challenge that they're facing today. Once again, to show you this, because I think this table is very helpful, let's actually dive into this one more time by clicking on the pencil icon. That actually will eliminate or reduce the overall filters that we have on this account, on this campaign, so you can see that now I can look at every day in the past. If I want to apply that filter one more time, I can come here and I can choose start of day till now, for example. If I want to compare any particular day historically at this time, and then also if I want to choose just a day of the week. So let me just choose Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I just hit refresh, that information is there. One other thing that, I'm not going to get too in-depth to these functions and features. That's left for when you want to have a one-on-one, and I can discuss that, or my BI team can discuss that with you one-on-one. But I think it's valuable for you to know that you can click on this filter and say, you know what, I actually want to see this information, but I want to see it for one of my particular agents. So show me this agent and that data. Well, I can do that for a business group. I can see quickly that that agent has only shown up on these particular days for that particular time. If I let's just add everything on here one more time. But you can see that at my fingertips, I can hone in on one agent and look at their statistics as well. I'm just going to back up to this dashboard one more time. I'd really like you to learn how to do this. So here's the filter at the top of the screen. And if I click on that and I want a particular agent or a particular business group or something of that nature, I can just choose that particular agent. And let's see if I get lucky and choose one that's here. Well, they're not here today, but there's their history. So I can have, once again, my floor manager can just say, I want to look at this agent's stats and show that individual how well they're comparing against anybody else. Well, that's very easy for me to do just with a couple clicks. So let's see here. Let me refresh this or get a clean version of this again. Again, I'm going to the open folder, going in and grabbing my insight one more time, and I get a clean version of the default. Well, let's continue on the next couple insights. This insight is the same thing. The whole entire dashboard, even though it's looking historically, this is a graphical representation of the previous weeks. Visually, I can see that this same time period, last week and the week before and the week before and the week before, this obviously on May 26th, this was my best day. And if I want to peel back those layers and see some specific things, maybe just looking at linked calls versus abandons, I can see that my abandons are within range, within normal ranges. And in fact, even on this good day, this is a normal range. This first day we had a high level of abandons, and we can explore those things. What you're going to find is, as you look at these individual insights and as you look at the data, you're going to have additional questions. And that's the whole purpose of business intelligence, is to look at root cause analysis. What caused this, or what's happening right now, or what happened in the last week? Without business intelligence, you're left to pivot tables and Excel spreadsheets and data dumps to try and discern that information. But now you have a tool that can access that information at your fingertips and be able to investigate the cause or the root analysis of what is going on in your business. As you scroll down to this particular insight, this insight is the same metrics up here. They're very useful metrics from our feedback. Link backs greater than 10 seconds, and how many connects. So basically, how many connections are your agents having per production hour, per hour that they're logged in. Agent production hours, not just are they showing up, but are they actually doing things that are useful. Production hour, in my definition, is when they're waiting for a call, when they're on call, or when they're wrap up. So this is a really good indicator. It doesn't count pause time in here. It doesn't count some of the other things, but it really helps you understand how productive your agents are in general. And then once again, you throw a filter on it, and you can look at a particular agent. Link back greater than 20 seconds. So this is just a call count or a tally. You have a unique agent count per hour, calls per agent, link back greater than 20 seconds. So this is your conversation tally. How many conversations are they having? Then you have things like your wait time, your talk time in averages, in average seconds, your wrap-up time. This one is your call attempts in total, and then you have outbound, OB, IB for inbound, MD for manual dial. You have your link percentages, your link back to your agents, how many of those calls are linking to your agents, how many are being abandoned, what's your abandoned of your total link backs, and of those that are being abandoned, how long are they on hold before they're abandoning. So some really useful indicators, and it continues on for some additional insights. Down here, this is we've talked about this comparison here, but I hope as we go over this, you can see that this concept of managing by exceptions, this is just scratching the surface. This is better and more information and more specific information than you've had access to in the past. Even though TCN is great with our reporting and our dashboards, sometimes you need to be able to connect the dots and look at relationships and causations. This is helpful, especially for the managerial team. This particular dashboard, as I mentioned, has a purpose immediately of giving your floor managers information that will help them see how to be more productive. There are some additional default dashboards in the system. They're all labeled by TCN standard. So if we click on the agent view, this will give you insights into your particular agent. So I'll walk through what these are. This one obviously is wait time, talk time, and wrap up time. These are average durations in seconds. And it lists your agents, and it's ordered them by wrap time. So very quickly, I can see which agents I need to work with immediately to try and lessen their post-call wrap-up time. This insight right here, this is calls with talk time greater than 20 seconds. So this is just a tally, and it's kind of a performance indicator of who's actually having the most conversations. Again, it's sorted by your success, which would be calls greater than 20 seconds. Here, this is just a little bit different, but it shows only the call count of calls greater than 10 seconds, but less than 20 seconds. So short durations, most likely these are wrong parties. And I'm showing you this because even though, for two reasons. One is just to say this insight is kind of cool, but wouldn't it be great if you were coding right parties and wrong parties and payments and promises? Then all we need to do is just change this particular metric to your particular code, and it's even more granular to what you're doing and your business is doing. This particular insight has quite a few things. It's actually the same insight on the previous dashboard. Over here, this insight shows, once again, duration, how many calls are greater than 10 seconds, but it splits it up by call type. So it can give you, a good feeling of where your successes are by call type and who's doing what. This one is a breakout of this is actually an almost an occupancy ranking. So on a scale from 0 to 100% of the agent's production time, how much of their time is being spent with connections that are greater than 10 seconds. So agent-debtor conversations that are greater than 10 seconds, how much of their production time is being spent occupied with those calls? And you can see here that in general, this particular agency is in the 50% average. We'd love it if all their agents were up above 50%, but they've got some work to do. So it's a great indicator or example of how to measure agent occupancy. Down here we have just some different business groups or how the campaigns are organized. Over here on this one, this is a nice insight. This one is frequently requested, but again, it's a default dashboard. It's a default insight. It shows the agent. It shows the time that they've logged into TCN. It shows their production time, which is a little bit different. This is just wait time, talk time, and wrap-up time. Shows non-production time. It shows how many times they've logged into TCN. It shows the time since last login. It shows the pause count, how many times they've paused, and then the time that the duration of those pauses. Now, if you're using our pause codes, you can add those additional fields onto here, and you can see how many bathroom breaks, how many lunch breaks, or how many managerial breaks that are approved. So we've got clients that are using this for a time clock and actually paying their agents based off of these metrics instead of some other internal system. A couple of the other, just a quick overview of the couple of the other dashboards that are included. We've got a live view. This is just another version showing patterns. So you can see by call type, how are we doing and how is that compared to last week or yesterday or the day before or the day before. And so this is by hour of the day, but it's just in one nice view. Down here we have an agent efficiency rate. So this is the occupancy measurement once again. How much of our agent's time is being spent with conversations that are greater than 10 seconds. And we've got a split that out by outbound, inbound, and manual dial calls. Down here we have some of the different metrics that we've shown you. So each of these dashboards, just remember that you can access these, you can play around with those, again, by clicking on the folder icon at the top right, and then your account will probably just have the 5 standard versions in there. And so you can just click on those standard versions and then poke around and find out what questions you have, and then reach out to us if you need additional instruction on what something means, or if you want to personalize it and haven't quite figured out how to personalize it, please contact us. So again, this is not meant to be comprehensive, a comprehensive walkthrough. I think that's more important to do one-on-one with each of our clients, because it gets personalized with you. So at that point, we'll move on. We'll talk about a couple of things. Please feel free to, if you have some questions to ask, please log those in the interface for me to view in just a moment. So we've talked about navigation and getting into it. Let's get back to this question of value. So often when I meet with somebody, before we get into this and show them anything here, they're a little concerned about business intelligence. It sounds like it's a hard concept, or you have to be a brain surgeon to try and figure it out. You don't. So the other question that I get is, how can I like this, Dave. This is something that we've needed for a long time, but I don't think our CFO is going to go for this. So how can I share the value of this with all the decision makers in the company so that we can get in and actually tear into this and implement it at our company? Well, as we've met with people, there's 3 things that we keep coming back to. The value of BI in 3 generalized concepts. The first concept is replace and save. What do I mean by that? Well, at our last webinar, Steve Larson, who's probably on this call today, he said it very well, so I'm just going to quote him. TCN's business intelligence, he mentioned, and this was almost word for word, he says, it changes how I view everything, and it's cut his daily workload in half. So replace and save, our first goal when we work with you on a consultative basis is to look at the reports and workload that somebody in your company is doing to get reports and pie charts and graphs to your managers, to your executives, to your clients. They're spending a lot of time doing that. Usually it's nights and weekends as well, because they can't get it done during business hours. So our first goal is to replace what they're doing with business intelligence. So it's a one-click or a two-click access point to get that same insight and to be able to save all that time that's spent doing that. So the value on this alone should pay, and in most of the cases that we've dealt with, this value alone pays for the costs of BI, of business intelligence. Number 2, manage by exceptions. I think we've talked about that already, but just that concept of, instead of just giving you pretty charts and graphs or the existing work that you've done in the past, now we want to hone in that view. We want to customize that dashboard to be what you want your team members to look at, and to look for the anomalies, the challenges, the exceptions. So manage by exception. We think there's a ton of value there. And then the third item is just a micro and macro analysis of your business. So instead of just operating on gut feeling, which has proven your company well in the past, we want to take those gut feelings and say, you know, Dave, if we were to change 3 things about the way we're doing business, here's what those things are. Well, we can consult with you in a free consultation. We can understand what your goals are, and then we can come back to you and give you a proposal of, well, in order to see those goals realized, we can give you the insights and the dashboards that will assist you in those goals, and that will typically cost maybe $300 to $600 for an implementation fee. Or you can just tap into us at any time for $150 an hour, or depending on your subscription with us, that cost can be higher or lower. I just want to let you know that. But you can just tap into us as a consultant. You know your business, and we know BI, we know the system, we know TCN as a platform, and so the learning curve that you may have in trying to get to those goals will be lessened quite a bit if we can help you in that endeavor. So the micro and the macro analysis, what things can you see holistically, and what things do you need to get more granular, and get into that. So just to reiterate, we do have that free consultation with you to help understand your top 3 goals, and to maybe give you the training you need on what's available in TCN's Business Intelligence as your included subscription just out of the get-go. I'll remind you that we are sending notices to those individuals that receive your invoices, and in those notices we are helping you to understand that this is a free trial for 3 months. We're into month 2 of that trial. At the end of month 3, we're actually going to add a line item on your invoice where you will be billed for this service. If you have a concern with that, please contact us. Let us discuss the value, and if you don't agree to that value, we can disable that for you, and you wouldn't be charged. So please contact us if you want to discuss the value of that. Once again, we feel that the consultation services, we feel that there's a lot of value immediately in the default view, where it should help you out and give you 60 to 70% of your current needs of what you want. But with a short consultation, we can probably refine that and give you an incredible uplift and uptick in your value equation. Right now, we'll just go into the question and answers. I'm going to see, let's see, we've got a few questions here. Let me just take a look here and see what we've got. So I've got one question that says, as I transition to TCN from another carrier, I'm exploring the use of the soft phone, TCN soft phone with business intelligence. Will this seminar be available for download or to view in the future so I can come back to it at a later date? Great question. Yes, this is being recorded. We're going to post it and have this available. Another question that we've had as well is, how do I know it's showing me the data that I think it's showing me? Or why doesn't this not match up with what I'm seeing on TCN. I'm going to pull the dashboard up again, and let me go right back to this default dashboard. So to reiterate, the question is, why is this dashboard not showing me the same level of detail or the same call quantity that it shows me on TCN? And that could be at any different type of report. In working with our clients, there are several different ways to categorize the data. What does it mean to have a contact? What does it mean to have a link to an agent? Is that a conversation? Is that a right party? Is that just a connection to the agent? Or there's other questions of durations of time. So you may see that there are differences on business intelligence and TCN, the platform itself and the dashboards. If you have a concern, please contact us, and we can account for that difference and help you understand that, and once again come to an understanding of what your definition is. If we need to make an adjustment to that, we're more than welcome to do that.